Welcome to Language Learning Podcast. Today, we are getting you hired.
That is the mission. We know that job hunting is, well, it's one of the most stressful things anyone goes through, really, no matter the industry.
Oh, absolutely.
But when you add that layer of complexity, having that crucial conversation, that high-stakes moment, all in a second language, in English, the pressure, it's not just immense. It can feel, paralyzing.
It really can. And we know many of you listening are ambitious B1 or B2 level students. You've got the grammar down, you can communicate, but what you might lack in these professional moments is that strategic vocabulary.
Right. And the pacing, the cultural know-how you need to truly nail an interview.
Exactly. You don't just want to be understood. You want to sound confident. You want to sound competent.
And that is exactly what we are fixing today. This deep dive, it's not about general English fluency. This is a laser-focused masterclass in interview strategy.
So what's the goal?
The goal is singular: to master the two most common, most crucial, and often trickiest interview questions you'll ever face. Because if you handle these two well, honestly, the rest of the interview just gets so much easier.
Okay, so which two are we talking about?
We are focusing on tell me about yourself and that classic 1-2 punch. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
And we are going way beyond just giving you answers to memorize. We're giving you the framework, the structures that you can adapt to any job, any industry.
We'll start by breaking down 5 essential pieces of professional vocabulary. Then we'll expose the common mistakes by acting out some of those cringeworthy bad versions.
The mistakes that B1 and B2 candidates often make, I think we've all been there.
We have. And then finally, we will provide the polished, professional, good version answers, and we'll do a deep linguistic breakdown of exactly why they work.
We're even going to analyze some of the subtle grammar shifts that signal professional maturity to an English-speaking interviewer.
Yeah.
Ready to swap out that nervous energy for some professional polish? Let's dive in with our vocabulary warm-up. These 5 terms are they're the cornerstone of any strong English interview.
They are. And they're absolutely crucial for sounding like a well-prepared candidate who, understands the language of business.
All right, so where do we start?
First up, the word you absolutely must use when you're summarizing your professional life: background.
Okay, and this is a classic point of confusion, isn't it? When students hear background, they often think of their personal history.
They do. They think, where did I grow up? Who's in my family?
All those details that are, frankly, irrelevant in an interview setting. And sometimes they can actually hurt you.
That's precisely right. In this context, background refers specifically, and I mean exclusively, to your past professional experience, your career history, and your formal education. That's it.
So when you use this word, you're sending a signal.
A very clear signal to the interviewer that you're about to talk about your qualifications. You're maintaining those professional boundaries right from the start.
Okay, so can you give us an example? How would you use this correctly?
Certainly. So instead of saying, I studied engineering and then I worked for 2 years, which is, a bit clunky.
A little basic.
A little basic. You say, I have a strong engineering background, specifically in structural analysis. Or you could say, my background is in digital marketing, with a specialization in SEO performance.
I see. It's so much more concise and it sounds way more professional. It keeps the focus right where it needs to be.
Exactly. On the work.
Excellent. Okay, moving on to the second key term. This is one that I feel like every modern company is looking for, especially in these, high-growth industries.
And that word is adaptable.
Adaptable.
If you're going to claim a strength in an interview, this is a very strong one to choose. Adaptable just means you have the ability to change easily, to adjust quickly and, efficiently to new situations.
And that could mean anything, right? New technology, a shift in team priorities.
Or handling unexpected problems, integrating into a new team culture. All of it. It shows you're flexible.
It really speaks to resilience, I think. You're not just saying you can survive change. You're saying you thrive in it. And if you can articulate clearly in English that you are adaptable, you're instantly showing that you can handle the, let's face it, the inevitable storms of any busy workplace.
Absolutely. Okay, third phrase. This one is critical when you're talking about stress and workload. To handle pressure.
Right. And the reality is every job has pressure. Every job has a heavy workload sometimes. The interviewer knows that.
Of course. They're not asking if you never feel stress. That would be unrealistic.
So what are they actually testing?
They're testing your ability to stay calm, to maintain your focus, and to consistently deliver high-quality work when things get demanding or, when crisis pops up.
So it's not just that you feel the pressure, it's that you can show how you handle pressure. It's an active phrase, which I like. It shows you're in control.
Precisely. Number 4 on our list, a team player.
This one sounds simple, but I think using it strategically is really important.
It's vital. Are you someone who actively collaborates well with other people? That's the core question. Do you get that professional success is usually a shared thing, not just an individual one?
And do you put the team success first?
Exactly. Just saying I am a team player is quick, it's powerful shorthand. It immediately signals that you get it. You understand cooperation, communication, shared goals.
It's an immediate positive checkmark for any HR person.
It really is.
Okay, finally, let's define arguably the most important and often the most anxiety-inducing term in business.
And that is deadline.
The deadline.
This is that critical time or date by which a task or a project or some deliverable must be finished. In the business world, meeting a deadline is often the #1 measure of how reliable and efficient you are.
And missing one is a big deal.
It's often seen as a serious professional failure.
So when you're talking about your skills, maybe your ability to manage projects or plan your time.
Or even how you handle pressure.
Right, you have to connect it to your ability to meet every deadline. It gives them actual, quantifiable proof that you are responsible.
Okay, so we've got our 5 terms locked in. Background, adaptable, to handle pressure, a team player, and deadline. Now let's structure the interview flow, starting with that very first question that really defines the rest of the conversation.
Okay, let's do it.
Part 1, the opener. Tell me about yourself.
This question is so deceptive, it sounds like a warm-up, like small talk, but it's really an immediate strategic test.
It is.
And so many intermediate English speakers make their first and probably their biggest mistake right here. They hear, tell me about yourself, and they think it's an invitation to share their whole life story.
That is the core mistake we see from B1-B2 students. They launch into their family, their dog, their hobbies, their travel stories.
Yeah.
It's like an autobiography.
And they don't get that the interviewer is only interested in 2 things.
Your competence and your compatibility. Can you do the job, and will you fit in with the team? That's all they care about at this stage.
So what they really want is that highly condensed, professional elevator pitch for your career. The rule here is absolute, isn't it?
It is. Your answer must focus only on your professional history, relevant experience, and your career goals, specifically as they relate to the job you're applying for.
You need to use that word, background, and you need to stay inside those lines.
And to really show how damaging it can be when you don't, we're going to act out scenario A. I'll be the interviewer, and you can be the candidate giving a very common but very wrong answer. And I want you to listen for the awkward silence that comes after.
All right, I'm ready.
So thank you for coming in. Tell me a little about yourself.
Well, I was born in a small town called Green Valley. I have 2 brothers. They're both accountants. I enjoy playing video games, especially old RPGs, and I really hate waking up early, so I often stay up late watching movies instead.
I see. Thank you for sharing those personal details. Now, regarding the job description, can you tell me about your experience with large-scale data analysis?
Oof, did you hear that transition?
It was not smooth.
It was a jarring professional U-turn. It was completely unrelated to anything I had just said. You, as the interviewer, had to literally force the subject to change because I give you nothing professional to work with.
Exactly. So let's break that down. Why is this answer such a disaster?
Well, first, it's way too personal. Hometown, family, hobbies, none of that belongs here.
And critically, none of that information tells me if you can actually do the job.
But the truly unforgivable mistake was sharing that negative detail. I really hate waking up early.
A huge red flag.
You've taken something that's totally irrelevant and you've turned it into this massive question mark about your work ethic, maybe your time management skills. If the job has an early morning meeting, you've just told them you're going to struggle.
You used up your valuable time telling them not to hire you.
Exactly. Every single sentence you say in English in that interview has to be marketing your skills. The goal of this first question is to summarize why you are a great professional fit, not to give them your biography.
We have to pivot immediately toward your strengths.
Okay, so let's reset. Let's show them the correct, professional, and strategically sound way to handle this crucial opener. This time, we're going to make sure the interviewer follows up on a professional hook.
Sounds good. Let's do the good version.
All right.
So tell me a little about yourself.
Certainly. I have a strong background in marketing, specifically within the e-commerce sector, with 3 years of demonstrable experience. I see myself as a creative person who loves solving complex scaling problems, and having reached my goals at my previous company, I am actively seeking a new and exciting challenge in a globally focused organization like this one.
That's excellent. Could you elaborate on your experience with those complex scaling problems in e-commerce?
And that is the sound of success.
It is.
You didn't have to change the subject. You followed up directly on a professional keyword I gave you, scaling problems. My answer gave you a specific professional hook to continue the conversation naturally.
Let's really break down the success points of that answer. It's a perfect template for our B1 and B2 listeners.
Okay, success point one. The structure was professional and concise.
Right. It didn't ramble. And it used the correct term, strong background in marketing, which right away signals that you understand the professional scope of the question.
Success point two. You mentioned quantifiable experience.
Yes. 3 years of demonstrable experience. That is so crucial. It's specific. It's evidence. We're moving away from just vague statements and toward things you can actually measure.
Okay, and success point three was the skill hook.
The skill hook. The candidate said, I see myself as a creative person who loves solving complex scaling problems. Every single company wants creative problem solvers. It's a positive trait, it applies to almost any professional job, and it's phrased with confidence.
And then success point four, which I think is maybe the most brilliant part, the strategic close.
This is the part our listeners really need to pay attention to. I am actively seeking a new and exciting challenge in a globally focused organization like this one. This is not a generic statement.
No, it connects your career path directly to their company.
Precisely.
Strategically, why is that last phrase so important? What's the psychology behind it?
Well, it fights a major perception problem.
Yeah.
Interviewers often worry that candidates are just, firing off resumes to every job they see.
Spamming the job boards.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But by customizing that ending, a globally focused organization like this one, you show you've done your homework. You're targeted. You are genuinely enthusiastic about this specific company.
And that forces the interviewer to start thinking about your future within their company. That's a really powerful psychological move.
It is.
So let's expand on that customization tip, because I think this is non-negotiable for our listeners. You have to research the company's core identity before you even walk in the door.
Absolutely. If you're applying to a fast-paced tech startup, you don't say globally focused organization.
What do you say?
You say a highly agile and innovative startup like yours. If you're applying to a manufacturing company that's all about efficiency, you'd say something like an organization known for its commitment to lean processes and quality control.
And if you're interviewing for a nonprofit,
You use their language. You say a mission-driven organization focused on community impact. Customizing that final line, it just demonstrates preparation, genuine interest, and, frankly, respect.
so mastering Tell Me About Yourself is really about internalizing that professional structure.
Yes, that 3-part formula. Who I am professionally, plus what I have accomplished, plus why I am here specifically.
You nail that. You will always start the interview strong and confident.
And with that opening handled, we can now move to the true core of the interview, the strategic mountain that requires the most careful linguistic and psychological maneuvering.
Describing your strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly.
This question, it's a classic test of self-awareness, honesty, and professional strategy.
It's designed to see if you crumble under pressure, or if you can turn a potential negative into a positive story. Let's start with the one everyone is afraid of.
The weakness.
Right. And the big strategic mistake here is kind of twofold, isn't it? First, you could choose a weakness that is a total deal breaker for the job, like admitting you struggle to handle pressure when you're applying to be a paramedic.
Exactly. Or the second mistake, the insincere choice, the humble brag. My biggest weakness is that I just care too much.
Yeah, that just sounds arrogant, and it immediately makes the interviewer distrust you.
So what's the key? What's the strategic framework here?
The framework is this. You choose a weakness that is absolutely real, but, and this is crucial, it's minor or it's tangential to the core function of the job, and then you must immediately pivot to an active, measurable demonstration of how you are fixing it, the solution.
And this strategy is so valuable for an English speaker for two reasons, I think. First, it shows that self-awareness that employers want. And second, it lets you show off your fluency in discussing contrasting ideas. Past habits versus current active solutions, using some really specific grammar.
And this is where we need to introduce the really powerful linguistic structure for our B1-B2 listeners. This is the structure that turns a negative into a positive narrative. I used to be weakness, but now a solution.
Okay, let's break down the grammar there because this is really important. Why do we say I used to be? What does that signal?
The phrase used to signals a past habit that is now finished. It has been discontinued. It linguistically tells the interviewer that this weakness is not an active problem anymore. It's a closed chapter.
Okay, so compare that to a candidate who says, sometimes I am focusing too much on details.
Right. That's the present tense. It implies the weakness is a current ongoing problem. Using used to is a professional linguistic signal that says, I identified this and I've already acted on it.
Okay, and then the second part of the structure. But now I am using a checklist. Why that tense, the present continuous?
I am using, or I am implementing, shows an active, ongoing effort. It shows the solution isn't just some idea you have. It's a current practice you've actually integrated into your professional life. It shows accountability. It shows commitment.
I love that. Okay, so let's see. This strategy and this powerful grammar structure in action. You can play the interviewer again.
All right, let's do it. Thank you. Now, what would you say is your biggest weakness?
That's a thoughtful question. I used to struggle with delegating tasks, often feeling that I had to handle every small detail myself, which made meeting longer deadlines challenging. However, I have recognized this as a bottleneck for efficiency, and now I am using a specific project management app to clearly define milestones, assign responsibility to team members, and check in just 3 times a day, allowing me to trust and empower my colleagues.
That's an insightful answer. It shows you understand the necessity of team efficiency and are taking concrete steps to improve your leadership style.
Okay, I want to pause here for a second. That sounds great, but doesn't admitting I used to struggle with delegation still sound a little bit like a humble brag? How do we make sure the candidate sounds sincere and not arrogant when they're describing a weakness that's sort of a strength?
That is a crucial point, and the answer is in the measurable result. Notice the candidate didn't just say, I focused too much on details. They tied it immediately to a specific negative consequence.
Which made meeting longer deadlines challenging.
Exactly. They admitted a functional failure. That's what makes it sound real.
Okay. So the key isn't just admitting the flaw, but admitting the negative professional impact of that flaw.
Precisely. And the solution is practical. It's not abstract. They name the solution, a specific project management app, and they quantify the action. Check in just 3 times a day.
So that shows they've developed a system, a self-regulation system, to successfully handle pressure and stop that past habit from causing problems.
Right. So for you listening, you need to prepare 3 parts. The weakness itself, which should be minor and non-critical. Then the professional failure that resulted from it, wasting time, challenging a deadline. And finally, the concrete, measurable solution, an app, a course, a new methodology.
And preparing all this beforehand removes that fear of searching for the words in the moment. It lets you deliver this complex strategic answer with real confidence, even in your second language.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's flip it. Let's maximize the strength question. This should be the easy part, but I see B1-B2 students fail here all the time by just stating a positive trait with no evidence, like, I am hardworking.
Right. It's weak. It's forgettable. The power, as we always say, is in the anecdote. It's in the proof.
The story.
The story. If you claim a strength, you have to follow it with a specific, quantifiable example that shows that trait in action. This is what we call the claim plus context plus result structure.
Okay, let's look at how to use one of our core vocabulary words, adaptable, to really demonstrate a huge professional advantage.
Let's do it. And conversely, what would you say is your greatest strength?
My greatest strength is that I am highly adaptable. In my last role as a data analyst, the company decided to completely overhaul our main CRM software 3 times in 18 months due to mergers. Each time, I not only learned the new systems within 48 hours, but I was also able to train the 3 newest team players efficiently, ensuring we met all regulatory deadlines without disruption.
That is exceptional. That demonstrates not only technical resilience, but also some valuable informal leadership qualities.
That answer was, I think, a masterclass in strategic communication. It was short, the claim was bold, and the evidence was right there, immediate and specific.
Let's break down why it works so well. First, they spotlighted adaptable, which is a high-value trait we talked about. But the critical part is the proof. The candidate didn't just say, the software changed a lot.
No, they used a quantifiable detail. Overhaul our main CRM software 3 times in 18 months.
And quantifying your experience just makes the claim so much more tangible. Using a specific number 3 times and a time frame 18 months is so much stronger than some vague statement. It's credible and it's memorable.
And the answer also cleverly layered in two other concepts we talked about.
It did. The ability to act as a team player by training the 3 newest team players, and the ability to handle pressure by ensuring we met all regulatory deadlines without disruption.
So it's one single anecdote that actually proves 3 different professional skills.
Exactly. So this is your vital lesson. You must prepare these specific, concise anecdotes for all your claimed strengths. If you say you're a great team player, describe a time you led a collaborative project.
And if you claim you handle pressure well, describe a project that went off the rails, but you were the one who stabilized it and met the deadline.
The key structure is always claim, I am adaptable, plus context, the software changed 3 times, plus result, I trained the team and we met our deadlines. Practicing these little stories, make sure you don't fumble for words when you're under stress.
Before we get to the end of the interview, I want to address one more category of questions. Interviewers are often looking for something beyond just technical skill, right? They're assessing your professional maturity and your understanding of modern workplace culture.
Yes, and these questions often come up when you talk about stress management and work-life balance.
Right. So when you talk about your ability to handle pressure, it can open the door to questions about avoiding burnout. And a lot of B1-B2 candidates feel like they have to say, I'll work 24 hours a day.
Which is actually a sign of immaturity, not dedication. Companies want employees who are sustainable.
So if the interviewer asks, how do you manage stress and ensure you don't get burned out? You need a professional way to talk about boundaries. Let's define some new vocabulary here.
Good idea. First, burnout. This is that state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion that's caused by prolonged or excessive stress. A pro candidate shows they know how to avoid it.
Okay. Second, the phrase, to draw the line. This means setting a limit on what you will or won't do. It's about establishing healthy boundaries between your work and your personal life.
And third, the idiom, glued to, as in glued to the screen. It means you're inseparable from something, and you want to show that you are not always glued to your work screen.
Okay, so let's put that into a sample response. If they ask about stress management, what do you say?
You could say something like this. While I am absolutely dedicated to meeting every deadline, I have learned that true productivity comes from avoiding burnout. I am careful to draw the line between my working hours and my personal time. This ensures I am not constantly glued to my laptop, allowing me to return to work refreshed and focused.
Wow, that answer is brilliant. It uses sophisticated native-level language to show maturity. You're confirming your dedication to deadlines.
But you're also demonstrating self-awareness about sustainability. This tells them you can handle pressure effectively for the long term, not just for one project.
It shows the interviewer you are a self-regulated professional, not just an enthusiastic team player who's going to crash and burn in 6 months.
Exactly.
Okay, part 3, the close finishing strong.
We've done the intro, we've conquered strengths and weaknesses, we've even handled a tricky maturity question. Now, the final moments of the interview, this is where you leave that last impression.
And the interviewer will always, always ask, do you have any questions for me?
And this is a test. It's a test of your interest and your preparation, and we have to repeat our absolute rule.
Never, under any circumstances, just say, no questions.
Never. Saying no questions suggests you lack curiosity, or maybe you weren't listening, or you're just not that interested in the role.
Even if the interviewer has been incredibly thorough, you have to have 2 or 3 thoughtful, prepared questions ready to go.
We're going to teach you 3 tiers of excellent closing questions.
Okay, tier 1. This is the engagement question.
Right. You say, yes, I have a question. What does a typical day look like in this role?
This is our favorite generic closing question. Why is it so great?
Because it shifts your mindset. You stop being a passive interviewee and you start being a proactive future colleague. You're showing you're engaged, you're thinking ahead, and you're already picturing yourself doing the job.
It also gives you really practical, unfiltered information about the pace of the work. It can help you figure out if the job means you'll be constantly having to handle pressure reactively, or if it's a more structured, planned approach to meeting deadlines.
Okay, tier 2 question. This is the strategic alignment question.
This one sounds sophisticated.
It is. You ask, what are the team's key priorities for the next quarter? And how would this role specifically contribute to those objectives?
Oh, that's good. It shows you're thinking strategically, not just task to task. You're looking at the bigger picture, the long-term goals.
And it gives you a direct line of sight into how your success is going to be measured. If they say the priority is launching the new platform, you know all your initial effort will be focused on that deadline.
And you can frame your skills around that. Okay, and tier 3?
Tier 3 is the success metric question. How do you measure success in this role, both in the first 6 months and over the long term?
I like this one because it clarifies expectations and it shows you're focused on results. It's professional, it's results-oriented.
And it forces the interviewer to define the criteria they'll use to evaluate you. It gets rid of ambiguity and shows you value accountability.
A quick reminder on questions to avoid, though.
Yes. Do not ask about salary, vacation days, or personal benefits in the first interview.
That's almost always saved for the second round or when they make you an offer. Focus on the role, the company, and the mission first.
And finally, that necessary professional sign-off. As you wrap up the conversation, you need one polished final sentence to confirm your interest.
And that is, I look forward to hearing from you.
This phrase is perfect. It's polite, it's professional, and it's confident. It shows optimism and confirms your interest, but it doesn't sound desperate or demanding.
It's so much better than saying, I hope you call me soon, or something overly casual.
Absolutely. Using these professional closing phrases ensures that the very last impression you leave is one of competence, preparation, and professional etiquette.
One final point, actually, going back to the beginning, small talk.
Ah, yes, the minutes before the interview starts.
Right, you might have a minute or two with the manager walking you to the office. Don't be a robot. Use the environment around you as an icebreaker.
Comment on the building, the weather, something neutral. Use friendly English phrases beyond just, how are you?
Like, how is it going today? Or, this is a beautiful office building. This is your chance to go from being a nervous stranger to being a potentially friendly new team player.
And if you find a shared interest, some common ground, don't just say, I like X, say, I am really into X. It shows genuine enthusiasm.
And always show interest in the person speaking by asking, what about you? That simple phrase is a professional courtesy that keeps the conversation flowing.
And all of this preparation, your story, your strength, your closing questions, even your small talk, it all works together.
It projects an image of a professional who can succeed no matter the language barrier.
Exactly.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. We've given you a full strategic guide to acing your English job interview. Let's summarize the key takeaways for our B1-B2 listener.
Tip 1. Always be professional and targeted. When you're asked to talk about yourself, stick relentlessly to your background, your career, your education. Never let your personal history get in the way of your professional story.
Tip 2. Master the narrative of improvement. Turn every negative, every chosen weakness into a positive story about self-improvement. Use that strategic grammar. I used to be X, but now I'm using Y to fix it and meet every deadline.
Tip 3. Prioritize evidence over claims. You have to thoroughly prepare specific anecdotes for every strength, like being adaptable or being a team player. Use quantifiable details, numbers, timelines, results to prove your claim. Never just state a skill, show it with a brief, powerful story.
All right, so your homework starts right now. We're giving you a challenging, concrete assignment. Take out a piece of paper, open a document, and dedicate some time to writing down your perfect answer to tell me about yourself. Use that good version structure, professional identity plus experience plus customized goal.
Then, write down 2 specific strengths, each one followed by a concise one-sentence story that provides evidence. And finally, write down 1 weakness, followed immediately by your practical, measurable solution that shows you know how to draw the line to avoid burnout.
But the most important step is practice. Stand in front of a mirror, or even better, record yourself on your phone speaking these answers. Do it multiple times a day until they sound completely natural, not like you've memorized them.
Listen back to your own voice, check your pronunciation, check your pacing, make sure you sound confident. You need to internalize these strategic phrases so that under the stress of a real interview, the words just flow.
If you are prepared, you remove the biggest mental obstacle, which is that fear of searching for the right words in the moment.
Exactly. When you know your material, the language becomes a tool that serves your strategic goal, and your confidence will shine through.
And here's the final thought we want to leave you with. In a second language interview, the goal isn't necessarily flawless native-level fluency. It's flawless communication strategy. Preparation gives you the confidence to control the conversation, not the grammar.
Don't let the language control you. You control the language, and when you do that, you control the outcome of the interview. Now go prove that you are the most adaptable candidate they will meet.
Thanks for listening to Language Learning Podcast. Now go get hired.